When I went to the police academy in 2005, one of the instructors told us that you need to be careful. Sometimes this job and this whole career, it'll chew you up and spit you out.
The Wounded Blue opened up a world that I didn't even know existed. I had no idea that other officers had been hurt and, felt the abandonment that I had felt. I thought it was just me.
That feeling is exactly right. You feel abandoned and alone. And it's nice talking to other officers who are going through the same thing. It makes you feel not alone anymore, but it also makes you want to fight.
The most important thing that the Wounded Blue does is to let injured and disabled officers, whether those injuries are physical or psychological or emotional, to know that they are not alone, that they are not forgotten. Since launching during Police Week in May of 2019, the Wounded Blue has touched the lives of thousands of law enforcement officers throughout the country. Led by a trained and experienced peer advocate support team, this nationwide organization currently handles nearly 100 calls per week and is comprised of both former and current law enforcement officers, many of whom have suffered injuries or became disabled in the line of duty.
It's a weekly, daily, and monthly challenge of what we're going to juggle, how to get the bills paid, how to even put food on the table. We have 3 boys.
Coinciding with the launch, the organization would become the primary subject of a new documentary film titled The Wounded Blue: Service, Sacrifice, Betrayed. The award-winning film received critical acclaim from the law enforcement community and brought to light the critical issues a law enforcement officer will face in the aftermath of these devastating and life-altering incidents. Then in May 2020, a 6-part docuseries titled Voices of the Blue premiered on YouTube, which featured the continuing stories of injured and disabled cops, bringing to light the truth about the crushing effects of post-traumatic stress, the epidemic of police suicide, and the disastrous financial implications law enforcement officers and their families will face as they attempt to cope alone. In Christmas of 2020, the Wounded Blue sent a team to South Carolina, where an injured officer who was abandoned by his agency after crippling mental and physical injuries was in danger of seeing his home's foundation crumble due to damage he could not financially afford to repair. Through generous donations and teamwork, the Wounded Blue was able to facilitate and oversee the reconstruction of the officer's home at a time when his hope was all but lost. There have been many partnerships fostered by the work the Wounded Blue continues to do for injured and disabled cops, one of which brought forth an entirely new level of exposure as NASCAR driver Josh Bilicki sported the Wounded Blue's logo and slogan on his car, showing the kind of meaningful support police officers need in a time where their heroic actions are often overlooked. What you got here is $1,000 in prepaid Visa cards. In continuing our mission to support injured and disabled cops, the Wounded Blue has had the honor of distributing thousands of dollars to numerous injured officers and their families throughout the country, providing financial relief at a time in a law enforcement officer's career when they often feel abandoned and alone. And these are just a few of the highlights. Through ongoing charitable work, the Wounded Blue continues to serve our nation's law enforcement officers through a number of newly developed initiatives that will soon see chapters at the state level, as well as ongoing programs and continued work with PTSD emotional support dog breeders and trainers in an effort to bring these life-saving companions to injured and disabled cops who need them the most. All of which culminated in the first annual National Law Enforcement Survival Summit, which took place in October 2021 at the Ahern Hotel in Las Vegas. Some of America's most prominent law enforcement speakers and trainers presented on topics covering the aspects of physical, emotional, legal, family, psychological, and relationship survival that are essential for having a healthy and successful law enforcement career. The 4-day conference ended the night of October 30th with the Brothers in Blue Bash, where myself and co-host and Fox News host Tommy Lahren presented the Order of the Blue Heart Award to 5 law enforcement officers whose agencies failed to recognize their injuries that they suffered in the line of duty, leaving their lives and careers in disarray. We honor them to ensure their contributions to the law enforcement profession and the communities they served will never be forgotten. The charitable event was attended by over 800 guests, and it was truly a night to remember as we recognize the sacrifices of so many men and women who proudly wear the badge.
At the end of the day, I always can sit back and thank those who, the Wounded Blue, who are there for me, you know, and that gets me out of that dark place, you know what I mean? It kind of puts a sparkle in me to say, okay, get back up.
I'd like other officers to be there for each other, to really back the Blue, to make each other feel like they are really brothers and sisters in blue.
If we can do that for one another, I think it could change the stigma that is so prevalent in police culture today that says you are a problem if you have a problem. There's so much power in something like that.
The American law enforcement officer is a hero. They are doing the most noble job that exists in America. They are touching the lives of people in every community in this country. They need our support, and they need your support. You can help them by helping the Wounded Blue.